The solidus was originally a gold coin issued in the late Roman Empire, and a weight for gold more generally, corresponding to 4.5 grams. It was widely propagated in 312 AD by Constantine I and replaced the older aureus as the main gold denomination. Roman and Byzantine coinage. Although the solidus was introduced by Diocletian in 301 AD, it only entered widespread circulation under Constantine I in 312 AD, permanently replacing the aureus as the gold coin of the Roman Empire. The solidus was struck at a rate of 72 to a Roman pound of pure gold. Each coin weighed 24 Greco-Roman carats, or about 4.5 grams of gold per coin. By this time, the solidus was worth 275,000 increasingly debased denarii. The solidus was maintained essentially unaltered in weight, dimensions and purity until the 10th century. During the 6th and 7th centuries, lightweight solida of 20, 22 or 23 siliquae were struck along with the standard weight issues, presumably for trade purposes or to pay tribute. Many of these lightweight coins have been found in Europe, Russia and Georgia. The lightweight solida were distinguished by different markings on the coin, usually in the exig for the 20 and 22 siliquae coins and by stars in the field for the 23 siliquae coins. In theory the solidus was struck from pure gold, but because of the limits of refining techniques, in practice the coins were often about 23 K fine. In the Greek-speaking world during the Roman period, and then in the Byzantine economy, the solidus was known as the nu omicron mu iota sigma mu alpha nomisma. In the 10th century Emperor Nicephorus II Phocas introduced a new lightweight gold coin called the tetarteron nomisma that circulated alongside the solidus. And from that time the solidus became known as the sigma tau alpha mu epsilon nu omicron mu iota sigma mu alpha histamine and nomisma in the Greek-speaking world. Initially it was difficult to distinguish the two coins, as they had the same design, dimensions and purity, and there were no marks of value to distinguish the denominations. The only difference was the weight. The tetarteron nomisma was a lighter coin, about 4.05 grams, but the histamine and nomisma maintained the traditional weight of 4.5 grams. To eliminate confusion between the two, from the reign of Basil II the solidus was struck as a thinner coin with a larger diameter, but with the same weight and purity as before. From the middle of the 11th century the larger diameter histamine and nomisma was struck on a concave flan, though the smaller tetarteron nomisma continued to be struck on a smaller flat flan. Former money changer Michael IV the Paphlagonian assumed the throne of Byzantium in 1034 and began the slow process of debasing both the tetarteron nomisma and the histamine and nomisma. The debasement was gradual at first but then accelerated rapidly. About 21 carats during the reign of Constantine IX, 18 carats under Constantine X, 16 carats under Romanus IV, 14 carats under Michael VII, 8 carats under Nicephorus III and 0 to 8 carats during the first 11 years of the reign of Alexius I. Alexius reformed the coinage in 1092 and eliminated the solidus altogether. In its place he introduced a new gold coin called the hyperpyron nomisma at about 20.5 K fine. The weight, dimensions and purity of the hyperpyron nomisma remained stable until the fall of Constantinople to the Crusaders in 1204. After that time the exiled Empire of Nisha continued to strike a debased hyperpyron nomisma. Michael VIII recaptured Constantinople in 1261, and the Byzantine Empire continued to strike the debased hyperpyron nomisma until the joint reign of John V and John VI. After that time the hyperpyron nomisma continued as a unit of account, but it was no longer struck in gold. From the 4th to the 11th centuries, solida were minted mostly at the Constantinople Mint, but also in Thessalonica, Phrygia, Rome, Milan, Ravenna, Syracuse, Alexandria, Carthage, Jerusalem and other cities. During the 8th and 9th centuries, the Syracuse Mint produced a large number of solida that failed to meet the specifications of the coins produced by the Imperial Mint in Constantinople. The Syracuse solida were generally lighter and only 19K fine, although imperial law forbade merchants from exporting solida outside imperial territory. Many solida have been found in Russia, Central Europe, Georgia, and Syria. In the 7th century they became a desirable circulating currency in Arabian countries. Since the solida circulating outside the empire were not used to pay taxes to the emperor, they did not get reminted, and the soft pure gold coins quickly became worn. Through the end of the 7th century, Arabian copies of solida dinars minted by the Caliph Abd al-Malik ibn Marwan, who had access to supplies of gold from the Upper Nile, began to circulate in areas outside the Byzantine Empire. These corresponded in weight to only 20 carats, but matched the weight of the lightweight solida that were circulating in those areas. The two coins circulated together in these areas for a time. The Solidus was not marked with any face value throughout its 7th century manufacture and circulation. Fractions of the Solidus known as semisis and tremisis were also produced. The word soldier is ultimately derived from solidus, referring to the solida with which soldiers were paid. Impact on world currencies. In medieval Europe, where the only coin in circulation was the silver penny, the solidus was used as a unit of account equal to 12 deniers. Variations on the word solidus in the local language gave rise to a number of currency units. France. In the French language, which evolved directly from Common or Vulgar Latin over the centuries, solidus changed to soldus, then solt, then sol, and finally sou. No gold solida were minted after the Carolingians adopted the silver standard. Thenceforward the solidus or sol was a paper accounting unit, equivalent to 1/20th of a pound of silver and divided into 12 denarii or deniers. The monetary unit disappeared with decimalization and introduction of the franc during the French Revolution in 1795, but the coin of 5 centimes, the 20th part of the franc, inherited the name sou as a nickname. To this day, in French around the world, solde means the balance of an account or invoice, and is the specific name of a soldier's salary. Sou is also used as slang for a small coin of little value, as in sans la sou, meaning without a sou, hence broke, without money. Quebec. In Canadian French, sou and sou noir are commonly employed terms for the Canadian cent. Cena and cena noir are also regularly used. The standard French word centime is not used in Quebec. In Canada, 1/100th of a Canadian dollar is officially known as a Canadian cent in both English and French. However, in practice, a feminine form of cent, cena, has completely replaced the official cent. Spoken and written use of the official masculine form of cent in Francophone Canada is exceptionally uncommon. Interestingly, quarter dollars in colloquial Quebec French are sometimes still called trente-sous, because of a series of changes in terminology, currencies, and exchange rates. After the British conquest of Canada in 1759, French coins gradually fell out of use, and sou became a nickname for the halfpenny, which was similar in value to the French sou. Spanish pesos and U.S. dollars were also in use, and from 1841 to 1858 the exchange rate was fixed at $4 equals £1. This made 25 equal to 15d, or 30 halfpence, i.e., trente-sous. In 1858, pounds, shillings, and pence were abolished in favor of dollars and cents, and the nickname sou began to be used for the one coin. But the misnomer on trente-sous for 25 has endured. In the vernacular Quebec French, sou and cenis are also frequently used to refer to money in general, especially small amounts. Italy. The name of the medieval Italian silver soldo, coined since the 11th century, was derived from solidus. This word is still in common use today in Italy in its plural soldo with the same meaning as the English equivalent money. The word saldo, like the French solde mentioned above, means the balance of an account or invoice. It also means seasonal rebate, probably by contamination between the original meaning and the English word sales. Spain and Peru, Portugal and Brazil. As with soldo in English, the Spanish and Portuguese equivalent is soldado. The name of the medieval Spanish sueldo and Portuguese soldo was derived from Solidus, which is also used in the Philippines as sueldo. The Spanish and Portuguese word saldo, like the French solde, means the balance of an account or invoice. It is also used in some other languages like German and Afrikaans. Some have suggested that the Peruvian unit of currency, the sol, is derived from solidus, but the standard unit of Peruvian currency was the real until 1863. Throughout the Spanish world, the dollar equivalent was 8 reals, which circulated legally in the United States until 1857. We hear echoes of that time in the expression 2 bits for a quarter dollar, and the real was last used for accounting in the U.S. stock market, which traded in 1/8 dollars until 2001. The Peruvian sol was introduced at a rate of 5.25 per British pound, or just under 4 shillings. The term soles de oro was introduced in 1933, 3 years after Peru had actually abandoned the gold standard. In 1985, the Peruvian sol was replaced at 1,000 to 1 by the Inti, representing the sun god of the Incas. By 1991 it had to be replaced with a new sol at 1,000,000 to 1, after which it remained reasonably stable. United Kingdom, King Offa of Murcia adopted the Frankish silver standard of Libra, solida and denarii, although for centuries English coinage was restricted to the silver penny, whereas the shilling, understood to be the value of a cow in Kent or a sheep elsewhere, was a unit of account equivalent to 12 denarii, like its French equivalent, until the Tudors minted the first shilling coins. Prior to decimalization in the United Kingdom in 1971, the abbreviation S, from solidus, was used to represent shillings, just as D and pound, from denarius and libra, were respectively used to represent pence and pounds, leading to the abbreviation pound SD, the common use of a slash, e.g. 2/6 for 2 shillings and 6pence, was a holdover of the old orthographic long S.